Greetings and welcome, ladies, to your first dose of Women of Wisdom Weekly. This is the first video in this series or in this content, and I hope it will be of value to you, and I rely heavily on your feedback and maybe questions and suggestions for future topics. So this is just for you, women and girls. So let's enjoy it. I made myself a cup of tea so that I could be prepared. And as I read the tea bag label, I thought, my, Hashem does not leave a stone unturned. He lets you know when you're on the right track, and he also lets you know when you're off track. So this is a brand of tea in Australia called Bushells Tea. It's been around. It's Bushells Australian breakfast. Now guess what it says on the back? A cuppa for our farmers, and on another label it says a cuppa to bring us all together. So there's a little mem on the back of each of these, and I thought, oh, how appropriate. So I digress a little there, but it was a nice little positive reminder for me. So what can we expect from this subtitle or genre of videos that I will be doing, one each week? Well, what we can expect is essentially a mixture of things, but they are a mixture of things that will be of value and comfort and guidance for you as women and girls, and even young girls. So I would say that perhaps the viewing audience will obviously be predominantly women, but mind you, men might learn something too. And girls perhaps, 12, 13 years and older. So, and I guess that the point that I want to try and draw out in this is it is a series of videos that are suitable for all women. It's not aimed at any religion, race, nationality, etc. So it will be of importance for all women, be you Jew or Gentile. It's about you, the woman. And sometimes we hide things, sometimes we don't want to talk about them, and sometimes we think it might be foolish or boasting if we were to talk about ourselves. Well, I'm about to dispel the myth of all those things. Now, I've been on this earth for 71 years now, so I feel as a woman I have some degree of experiences to speak from. I haven't been successful in everything. I've been foolish in some things. I've surprised myself with a streak of brilliance in other times. So I'm no different from the rest of you that are out there, except I've got a few years of age on me. So let's get back to talking about the you. Well, the you as a woman is that real essence of you. The female, what it means to be a woman, what it means to be growing up as a young girl. And it is about that essence that you have, that essence or that spirituality, that how shall I say, that essence of like that base, that thing about you that's hard for other people to understand sometimes, and even yourself, but it's going to be about reaching in and taking a look at that and celebrating it and exposing it in the way God Hashem wants us to be, exposing it. So, it's going to mean about learning to know yourself, that essence of you. And along with that, I want to emphasize things such as love, peace, gratitude, values, and a whole lot of other things. And hopefully going through this, it's a pathway of you appreciating yourself much more, understanding yourself in a greater depth, being able to enjoy and celebrate the life that Hashem has given you, and to celebrate it in the way He means you to live your life. Your life is different from anybody else's. And you as an individual are unique. You are different from anyone else. And there are values about yourself, that value of self that Hashem wants you to know, because you can expand on that and be of greater value and service to the rest of mankind, as well as fulfilling yourself as an independent entity, a child of Hashem. And yes, you do sometimes have commitments. Of course, you have family, you have children, spouses, etc. But also you have an obligation to be the person Hashem wants you to be. And that may be that you have some hidden creativity within you, or you may have a deep, deep well of compassion that you can give to others. There is so much more to you than you realise. And so I'm hoping that you're going to all discover that during this journey. Women of Wisdom, weekly dose. I just have to excuse a helicopter flying over our house now. I'll have a sip of tea. Beautiful. Now, I'm going to read a couple of little things to you out of a gem of a book that I have discovered. But one of the things I want you to take away from this video is, number one, that you are unique. You can never be duplicated. And at the close of this video, I'll tell you a little story. But for now, I just want to reinforce some of the things that I've been explaining by reading a couple of lines from this little book, and it's called Free to Be Me. It's only a small little book. Now, it's written by a lady called Bela Vorand, and I will put a link in the description box below about the title. Now, I live in Australia and I bought this at Gold's bookstore, Gold's Judacia in Melbourne. But it's such an easy little book to read, and I just felt compelled to read a couple of things out of it. And on the preface, the very first section of it, it says, furthermore, understand this book's essentially written for Jewish women, but there is so much in it that is applicable to Gentile women. So much. So I'm reading this little paragraph to you now. Furthermore, as the secular world does away with the strictures of morality, they become less and less obvious. Suddenly, we find ourselves having to provide rational explanations to defend that which we had never thought about in a real and honest way, because of its naturalness to us. So I just want to explain that. So depending on the age of you who are watching, your memory of the past contact and the past intelligence of the generation will vary with dependent on your age. But I, for one, remember as a child that I don't recall ever seeing anyone dressed anywhere in any town or place inappropriately. There might have been the odd person that had a really, how shall I say, extravagant hairdo or colour or something like that. But basically, people were respectful of themselves, and by doing that, they were respecting others. So I just wanted to explain that. So if any of you young girls out there have got a grandmother, ask them give you some examples. They will, and better still, get them to come and watch these videos as well. Great way for mum, daughter, granddaughter, sisters, etc. to bond. Now, over here on page 26, it says, it's got this lovely little thing, says, in a nutshell. I want to read that. And this says things better than I can. There are many layers to reality. We see the world according to who we are. The photographer sees colour. The Tzaddik perceives Hashem. Since a person has many layers to herself, there are many ways we can view ourselves. And I think that is so true. And I want to read on the back page now something to give you a little takeaway thought in preparation for next week. On the back page, it says, "Free to be me, a small book, a huge message. You are what makes you you. Are you only your face, your clothing and possessions, your talents and accomplishments? Absolutely not. So who in the world are you? Free to be me will help you find the answer to that life-changing question. And amazingly, it will help you find the answer through the mitzvah of Zunis, which is modesty, which is so much more than a dress code. And remember, I talk about modesty with style as well. It'll be in these talks we have. Free to be Me is a very unusual book because we live in a very unusual times. It's practical with exercises and summaries to help bring the ideas into our lives. It's relatable. It was reviewed by dozens of women of all ages to make sure it speaks to our modern challenges and concerns. And with its light tone and great cartoons, it's just plain fun. And it is. Free to be Me takes you on a journey of self-discovery. Get ready for challenges, surprises, and a whole new way of looking at yourself. So it's a delightful little book. I think, I must confess, I haven't read every page. I've picked out a few things and it just, it just makes you feel good. So I would say that this would be a worthy accompaniment to our WoW weekly sessions, because there'll be some little things in here that I may even quote at times again from this book. But it's not the essential text. I must just make that clear. I'm not suggesting you need to go and buy the book, but I'm sure if you look online, it's an Art Scroll series. I'd say it's probably on Amazon or somewhere like that. If you're not able to get it at your local bookstore. So that's about that book, which I think is a lovely little hidden gem. Now, the one thing I want to leave you with is this little story. And this comes back to the question of you knowing who you are and knowing that you are special. Even if you have an identical twin, they are not a perfect duplication of you. They may seem to be on the outside, but God knew what he was doing when he made you identical twins. Now, this is a story I used to tell my children when they were young. I had 3 sons. And you all know, I think I've mentioned it in a previous video, that here you have a little dint there, don't you? We all have that little dint there. Some are more pronounced. They're all different. and they are. And I used to tell my children that they were so special. Nobody will ever replace them or can be them. And they have special gifts and they have a right to share them with the rest of the world. And I used to put my finger on that little dint of them. I'd put my finger on their dint and say, you know that dint there? That's where God put his finger on you and claimed you as his. That's what makes you unique. Your dint is like a fingerprint. Nobody else has that. That's God's fingerprint that he has put on you. He individually has put a print on every person. So you can't run away and hide. He knows who you are because he's got his mark on you. He's got his brand on you, if you want to use a rural term. And, you know, and also, why did he put that dint there? Why did he put his mark there? That's to remind you to watch what comes out of your mouth. I'll leave you with that thought. We can talk more about that later. So, I want to thank you so much for staying tuned so far in this video, and I look forward to doing a video each week, and we will include things like modest style and maybe the odd head covering, etc. But it is essentially about women, the value of your life, and also I would like to leave you with this parting thought and say that you need to live a life that matters through your thoughts, your actions, your dress, and your essence, your dint, your brand. God's branded you. So he's made you a unique individual because he has a unique purpose for you, and it's a purpose that only you can fulfill. That's why he wants you to do that. So we're going to expand on this as the weeks unfold. In the meantime, ladies, girls, thank you for listening. I look forward to our next session, and I want you all to take care. And God bless.